And first up, coming up, Shashi Tharoor has lashed out at the media. He's complained that he is being defamed again. He added that many people are even asking him why he wasn't suing the media. He said, and I quote, that it's saddening that in a democracy, TV debates had become irrational. He blames 24/7 news television and added that in television media, it is a race to the bottom.
Issue towards any of his opponents before that. He and I had also clashed quite directly and explicitly 6 or 8 months previously when he had said something nasty about my wife, and I had responded both on Twitter and on television. And there was both a perception that well, bluntly, and I don't mean to be too modest about it, that I had sort of won that particular exchange, and also that I would not be forgiven for having won that exchange. So I did not expect him to reach out, and that's why I was very impressed with his having done that. He had reached out to me once earlier on Twitter, but that was definitely politically cynical, which was that he appealed to me to join him in getting young voters to register. And since that was a cause I already believed in and had already initiated a drive in the Technopark in Trivandrum to get young voters to register, I had no problem signing on to that. And frankly, I didn't think it was any love lost for me. It was simply that I had the country's largest Twitter following amongst any politicians until he overtook me. So since I was still the number 2, he had every reason to get my followers on board this cause, and I was happy to follow you. I don't know if he follows me, and I'm fairly sure that until he became Prime Minister, I don't think I followed him either. So, but there you are. Nonetheless, when he sent that tweet, I mean, I was actually going around the constituency saying thank you to different parts when the tweet came, but I started getting calls of people saying, do you know Mr. Modi has tweeted you? So then I went and checked, and sure enough he had, and I must admit, taken aback. It was a very gracious thing to do. And what is more, it was accompanied by messages from various well-meaning people claiming assorted degrees of proximity to the new power center, who assured me that he had personally, because I had cynically said in the past that Mr. Modi doesn't seem to tweet for himself, he has people writing his tweets, but that he personally approves every tweet that goes out in his name, and therefore this tweet would not and could not have been issued without his instructing it to be issued. So I did take that as a positive signal, and of course that led on to one of the pieces in this book which where I was asked by, shortly after all of this, I was asked by CNN International for its Zakaria show about Mr. Modi's first few days of remarks and statements. He had by then accepted the office, he'd made a speech in Parliament, a very emotional one, he'd made a speech in Varanasi, he'd made 4 or 5 speeches and this and that. And I said, well, it's quite intriguing because he said a lot of the right things, and I cannot fault him for anything he said. I said, I wonder sometimes if there's a Modi 2.0 that we're yet to discover. And then I get this message from the Huffington Post saying, hey, we heard this comment on CNN, this is the CNN that plays in America, not the one that plays here. Can you write a piece for us about Modi 2.0? So I did, and a sentence in that piece, which everybody chose to overlook, but which was there, the piece is reproduced in India Shastra, by the way, unchanged. There was a sentence that said, so is there a Modi 2.0? It is too early to tell. But that got completely omitted in the huge fuss that followed. Because I said that Mr. Modi clearly is attempting to reinvent himself from a hate figure whom we rightly demonized into seemingly an avatar of modernity and progress, just by his speeches. And I made it very clear what I was basing the comment on. This created a huge backlash amongst people who should have known better in my country, and was the beginning of my troubles with my own constituency of Indian liberals.
But, so you sort of have you have a Twitter relationship with the Prime Minister. It's like a Twitter pen friend. You have a Twitter friend.
Well, actually, no, because he didn't give me any warning on Twitter before sticking me with this Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. In fact, I was on a plane to Bucharest, Romania. From Trivandrum, I had to fly to Dubai and change aircraft and fly from Dubai to Bucharest. And since my Indian phone doesn't work abroad except in Wi-Fi conditions, I had no idea of what was going on. And all planes land in and take off from Trivandrum at really unearthly hours. I think my flight was at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. or something. So in any case, I had no idea until I landed in Bucharest, and this had happened. So I got simultaneously a flurry of messages saying the Prime Minister has announced your name on television, and messages from my staff in Trivandrum saying the Prime Minister's office was trying to call and remember you were on a plane. So he didn't do it on Twitter. He could have easily warned me that way. I could have checked Twitter otherwise. Instead, he asked one of his close aides to call me to tell me that the Prime Minister wanted me to accept this honour. And I subsequently spoke to the aide and said, what happened? This sort of blindsided me. And he said, look, the fact is that we couldn't reach you. And I asked the PM, what do we do? Do we take him off the list since we couldn't reach him? And the Prime Minister smiled and said, no, I want to name him anyway. Now you can read whatever meaning into that, but as you know, various other meanings were read into it by others that I think were not intended.